What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Nerd Militia, and today we're talking the Batman. As usual, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as it will enter you in a chance to get into this month's giveaway, which is the pre-order digital copy of the Batman. So let's get into it, guys, and just let you guys know, spoilers ahead. So in this movie, we follow the Batman as he tries to solve a mystery laid out by the Riddler. Along the way, we meet new allies and enemies. Does the Batman have what it takes and the mental fortitude to take on the Riddler? Well, we find out in this movie. So let's get into this by talking about the Batman himself. This movie really did make me eat my words. I did believe in Robert Patterson early on, of course, but I just didn't think the movie was going to be really good. With all the heavy hitters coming out, I don't know, I just didn't get a good feel from the trailers that were being put out. But let me tell you, there are two directors I think got Batman. That is Zack Snyder and Matt Reeves. And Matt got down his presence, even as going far as to do a lot of scenes shot from the boots where they put the like cowboy spurs in there when he's walking and making his feet sound heavy, and also having him in shots where he kind of towers over people. You get that dark, gloomy, and looming presence for him. Like, you don't know if this guy is going to save you or kill you. And honestly, I do dig the fighting style of this guy. It's not beautiful yet. We are year two in this movie of him being Batman, but I love the fact that it is chaotic and brutal, and it just adds into that mystique of the brutality of the character. Like, everybody's afraid of him for a reason, right? There's no poetry, there's no beauty in the fighting style. It just looks bare knuckle brawling. Like, there's no really kicks in there. It's all up top fist throwing. And I understand, like, there's this whole debate about who has a better Batman. I've always said that the Nolan movies were great, but I don't really consider the Nolan movies a Batman movie. And to be honest, like, I think if you sat down and talked to Nolan about it, he would probably say, like, yeah, I don't have Batman a lot in the movie. And a lot of his Batman relied on gadgets, and this Batman, there's a healthy balance, and it's just amazing. His new theme is great. At first I didn't like it, but it slowly grew on me, and it reminded me of what Mike Tyson was doing early on in his career when he came out with the like single note music. Man, great theme. I love the new theme. The suit. Now, the suit is another thing that I will give credit to Zack Snyder for it and Batman versus Superman. See, because the allure the lore about Batman and what makes him so terrifying is that he quite literally looks like a dude in a bat suit. So when you're taking shots at him and you don't see any armor and bullets are bouncing off of him, that's quite terrifying. So although the outside armor is pretty cool, I'm not always a fan of it. Like, and I love that about the fight scene in the Batman versus Superman and that bat suit, because it just looked like a bat suit, and like when bullets are flying off of it and people are attacking him with the knife and you see sparks, like that's the mystique about Batman, because you're like, it just looks like he's in a lycra suit. Like, how are these bullets not? And that adds into the supernatural side of the Batman in this whole thing. The suit does look cool, but I think we need to get back to that type of suit. And again, this being year two, it makes sense for him to have kind of the armor out the outside. As he's going, maybe he'll understand how to use fear more, and maybe he'll start covering up. But we shall see. As I said earlier on, this Batman, he has his gadgets, but it's not heavily relied on in this. Unfortunately, Zack Snyder's Batman, we didn't get a lot of time with him, and I would have loved to see how Zack balanced out the gadgets with the brute force he was allowing his Batman to have, but we don't have that. The other one we have to compare to, or the closest one we have to compare to, is the Nolan Batman. And I think that Batman relied so heavily on his gadgets and toys that we didn't get to see a lot of Batman doing his detective work. And I know one could argue, and I often am credited as saying like the Nolan Batman is a detective movie where the detective happens to be Batman. But when we first see the Batman come in and he's at the murder scene and he's saying like, I forget what he says, but he says some medical term, and it's because how the blood is clotting on this finger. Like that's him being a detective. He spots a blood spill somewhere else that nobody else is looking at. That's him being a detective. He is solving a lot of these riddles. That's him being a detective. He's rarely depending on these gadgets. In fact, the only gadget we really see him depend on are his lenses, and that's just to help him again detect. Like he plays back video, and he's trying to solve a crime that way. Like I think that was so brilliant how they did that. And again, I'm fortunate enough to grow up through the VHSs of Keaton's Batman all the way up to this Batman, and I've seen every iteration of the Bat car. And I think like this is what sucks about the Snyderverse not being around. And I don't want to be like harping on this, but with all honesty, Patterson's Bat car it's so stripped down, but it's stripped down and modeled in such a way that Ben Affleck's Bat car, they look like the evolution. Like Patterson's Bat car looks like the beginning, and uh, Ben Affleck's Bat car looks like what it evolves into. So, I mean, I'm going to assume like the car was developed and designed for Ben Affleck, and it turning into this because that's what it looks like, and it's an amazing. It's stripped down, and I like it. And of course, as we go along in this movie, of course, we are going to see the tech grow and come along, and that's going to be amazing. So I guess we could talk about Bruce Wayne as a character, and I think again we are watching Bruce Wayne kind of begin to balance his life as Batman and Bruce Wayne. I like it. I dig it. I love what they're doing and what they're going for. I love that he looks disheveled and up all night, and I love that like people don't seem to think that's odd because they just like this is the kid who's saw his parents get murdered and he's recluse. Like it's not like, hey Bruce, why do you look so not preppy? But I think that's cool. This is our first Bruce Wayne that isn't like yet to be that playboy. And honestly, the way they're building this character, he doesn't have to be the playboy. He could still be this recluse type of deal. And also on top of that, I think the fact that he just doesn't care about his money is awesome, but I also think like eventually he is going to have to care if he's going to continue to be Batman. Because he's got some stuff to build, and like the success of this movie is only going to make them get a bigger budget, and which is going to lead to like more gadgets and suits. And in order to explain all that, is like his business has to be successful. The only gripe I have about this is his relationship with Alfred. I don't know why they make it so spiteful between them. Like that's a little weird. There's no really big answer for it, or like why he has like this like hate or malice towards Alfred or whatever. Like I don't get it. Again, one could blame it on his parents dying, but this is the guy who kind of like said whatever, I'll raise you type of deal. Like I don't know, I don't get it. There's again, as we go on, maybe we'll get a little bit more on why Bruce feels this way, but we'll see. We'll see. Catwoman was amazing. Zoe Kravitz did a great job. I loved the acrylic nails she got on. I loved the supermodel walk she brought to Catwoman. The last Catwoman we have wasn't again. I know people we give a lot of credit to the Nolan verse, but like his other than the fact that she was stealing like there I don't know, there wasn't really anything like Catwoman-esque to Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. And again, like that's why I always say like I believe Nolan's universe is basically a detective that happens to be Batman. Like he really wasn't trying to lean into that Batman world. In all seriousness, like I mostly see Nolan's verse as being like Nightwing when Nightwing was a secret agent, like with the gadgets and stuff. That if you know what I mean, like that. Now when I look at it like that, like it's kind of like Batman's secret agent. But that's neither here nor there. I'm trying to focus on Selena Kyle, and this is like the Selena Kyle that I'm like kind of used to getting, because don't get me wrong, it is an adaptation and she wasn't like full out like Selena Kyle, but this was Zoe's interpretation and it was a great interpretation. Like I feel like she took a lot of Eartha Kitt, she took a lot of Michelle Pfeiffer and kind of took herself and made it her own, and it worked. It worked. I mean, like she took the I guess like the sex appeal of Eartha Kitt, and she took like the viciousness of Michelle Pfeiffer, and she took her own spirit and she made her own. And it was awesome. I loved every second of it. So the new Rogues Gallery dropped my pen. um Again, like the Riddler, which is like a cross between Jigsaw and Riddler. I love this adaptation of him. I would honestly love to know if Jim Carrey saw it, and then like not to say like Jim Carrey's Riddler is the end all be all Riddler, but I would like to see what he thought of it as a person who's made films like the number 23, like if he would have liked to like see or do a Riddler like that. I would just like to know like his opinion of it. And the Riddler was awesome. The only thing that I wish they didn't do was have him come unhinged so fast, like when plans didn't go well. But again, that's the comic book and the dramatic flourish of the film, right? Like they have to, he's got to be over the top. So I get it. I just would have loved him to be like kind of like maybe show contempt in a different way, you know. But whatever, that's neither here or there. But he did do a good job. Oz slash the Penguin, that's my guy right there, man. I loved everything that he did. I'm excited to see his adaptation of the Penguin in the future, like how he's gonna portray him. And again, I think like if they don't get, they have to get an Oscar or something for the FX, because like they really hid Colin Farrell. Like I did not know. I mean, I knew that's Colin, but I didn't see him. Like I just saw this character Oz. And shout out to the twins, who are two actors that I've kind of followed from The Office all the way up to Teen Wolf to now. So it's cool that they're like in this blockbuster movie and they're getting work. I thought that was cool. I thought that was awesome. And my only thing is, I feel like they killed Carmine Falcone so fast, and because I love that actor, and you know I love them from the Spike Lee movies up to the Transformer movies, and I would have loved to see him play Falcone a little bit longer, but they killed him off, and that's cool. But I'm excited to see as you get to the end of the film, it's like this huge power vacuum is opened, and it's a grab to see who comes and grabs and takes over the underworld. So the future of the Batman, what is that going to look like? What is part two going to look like? Who are the villains? As we move forward, I think like the typical like one villain per film thing is kind of over. It's so it's so interesting that like there was a focus on the Riddler, and you would say like, oh, that's the only villain, but clearly there wasn't. There was the Riddler, there was Falcone, there was Penguin, and if you consider Catwoman a villain, there was Catwoman. So who are the villains that are going to be in the next two films? Four maybe? I'm not even sure. I do think they could pull from. I think I want to say it's not called Batman Order. It might be called The Order. I don't know. But I think they could pull from that. I think, which is like the story about Deacon Blackfire. I could see maybe those dudes with the half painted faces and the whole painted faces maybe being some of his followers. Now there's the big thing where they put like Hush, and everybody, I know everybody's jumping on Hush, but that is a story that they could tell. They obviously would have to adapt it, be it that this Bruce Wayne is more of a recluse. He doesn't have friends and he doesn't care to keep friends. So I don't think the ability to have Hush and him being best friends as they grew up is a thing, but I'm sure they could rework it and make it fit. Of course, the Joker's in the future. We got him at the end, and again, like I said, like about winning the digital download of the Batman, the pre-order, right? Matt Reeves himself says that we're going to get the scene of Batman talking to Joker earlier when he's trying to profile the Riddler. So that's going to be awesome. Now, I also think like we will probably get like a Court of Owls telling, maybe a retelling of the Parliament of Owls, the Talons reworked. And the only reason why I think that, I honestly think, because it was so easy to figure out, and of course they said what comic books they were pulling from. But I think what would be totally left field thing to do is to actually pull from the Arkham games. And the reason why I'm leading towards them possibly pulling from the Arkham games is because they went out of their way to change Martha's given name, her non-Wayne name, I forgot what you call that, but her non-married name as Arkham instead of Kane, because in the comic books Martha's last name is Kane. And so that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like they could do the Court of Owls with a twist, a different adaptation, and instead of having the Talons, or maybe they could have the Talons, but the leader of the Talons would be the Arkham Knight. And honestly, the way he's dressed, the way he looks, it kind of fits the way this Batman looks. And so, like, the Arkham Knight was supposed to be like a carbon copy, or sort of like the Bizarro copy of Batman in the game. And I think they could rework his story and make him fit as whatever the new court, however Matt Reeves adapts the Parliament of Owls, the Court of Owls to have the Arkham Knight fit. But there has to be a reason why they changed her name from Kane to Arkham. And I'm thinking maybe down the line we're gonna get the Arkham Knight, and he will be like the enforcer to the Arkhams and the other families who pull the strings behind the scenes as Batman is learning this, as this new Batman is learning this, and he'll be the guy that kind of like the immovable object to the great force of the Batman. And I think that would be cool. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As you know, we are giving away that pre-order to the Batman. Don't forget to share this video. And as usual, guys, stay excellent, and I'll catch you guys later.